All right, guys. Hello. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about paper thin fish. And believe it or not, there's a lot of parallels here between skilled people and the guys who just get paid to do the backroom work. All right. So we all know that diagnosticians are hard to find, but why are they paid more? Well, and and can they be rushed? And how are they treated? So the guy who can figure out problems in the shop is like the fish cutter in the bagel shop. Now the fish cutter is a very particular guy. He's paid very well, and nobody rushes the fish cutter because you can only cut the fish so thin. So why do I even bring that up? So when you're in industry, the fish man can't be rushed. The fish can only be cut so fast. You can't rush the fish cutter. That's quote unquote from the store owner. So when you're really good at what you do, no one's asking you to be super fast and crazy expectations. What they want is a good product. So the parallel there we're drawing is that clearly, if you're really good at what you do, you're not in that major percentage of people who are not making money. I mean, imagine there's a lot of people inside that bagel store. I imagine that fish man's cut at the top wages. So, and actually, it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a very surgical type hand. But there again, we get into skilled hands. When I've seen people do overheads, I've watched a very slight amount of drag, and I've watched a lot of drag. And the difference between the two is really just the amount of feel that you feel as far as like an overhead or a lash adjustment. So when you're dealing in thousands, that's something that's acquired, just like that guy who's the fish man. And that's why when we're adjusting onions to two or 3 thousandths of an inch, that letting them drop all the oil out overnight, and also making sure that the temperature is right, is all going to contribute towards a really good product when you're talking about creating thousandths of an inch. So, all right, the next thing we're going to bring up here. So, we're going to talk about when you go in for a job and you're sitting across from the boss, what kind of position are you in to negotiate? I want everybody who's watching my channels and keeping up with the stuff that I do to know that there's probably a whole lot more value than you think in your job. And if you go to the table of negotiations with this disposition that says, I'm lucky to have you, then you're never going to get to the pay scale where it's there, where that's inverted. So when the business is lucky to have the employee and vice versa, that's a really winning scenario, and it's really about the only one. Now, a lot of people aren't going to tell you this, guys, but there is not money in the trades. There's not money in diesel work unless you're really, really good at it. If you're just one of the guys who is just an average guy, you're going to spend a lot of money on tools, and you're not going to really amass that much money on the shop floor. There are some exceptions to that, clearly, but by and large, I wish people would quit lying to everybody in the blue collar world saying you're going to make a ton of money. I mean, if you had the chance to go at 25 years old right now, I could say so much about this. I should probably just do a podcast because I could talk for hours about the industry, what the future is going to look like, and we're going to get into those in little classes. But this is an opportunity right now. And my first thing I have written down is what is a good job and supply and demand. Right now, the demand is so high for diesel mechanics. It's not that high for automotive mechanics, believe it or not near as high. So when we talk about the industrial world, we talk about somebody who's needed, not wanted. So if you need to fix your car, you need to fix your semi to get it going to make money, but you don't need to fix your car. Okay, you think you need to fix your car, but you could take the bus. So there's a huge difference there. And I keep reiterating that because I wish that people would understand that most of the people who are inside of the trades are spending a lot of money on tools that they're never going to be able to recoup any of that cost getting some wage that they're going to grow up just like I did in the trades thinking, hey, 20 years from now I'll be making it. When they got 16 years in, they realized no, the only way to make it is on your own. So that's something to consider. So we're going to talk about the door swings both ways. When I go in there to that meeting, is he happy to see me? Am I happy to see him? Is the pay scale listed? If the pay scale is not listed, you do not ever apply to the job because that means they're trying to get you for as cheap as possible. That is a fact. You can piss away your life if you want, but if they don't tell you the pay scale, they're just rope-a-doping. They're trying to see what they can get you for, not what you're worth. Okay? And you're worth what you can negotiate. We talked about that in another video. Negotiation is what keeps people from being on hind teeth for a long time. What's the bonus program? Do they have a bonus program? Is it based off of how much labor you sold? Usually it's based on a number like 82 or 87% of efficiency. That means work versus build, but at the same time, there's room for me to get a portion of the labor sold total. What's the training available? Are there ASE trainings? Are there dealer trainings? Does that mean if I do the prerequisites, I'll be able to go and do a class? That's something you really want to know. Signing bonuses. It happens all the time. People get signing bonuses more now than I've seen in the past, but it's not uncommon to get up to $10,000 signing bonus. You negotiate that, guys, but you got to go to the table knowing your trade. That way, you can be in a position to negotiate. So AFLAC is insurance. Is there any part-time or partial insurance outside of just workman's comp? That's important to know. Tool allowance. There's some companies out there that will give you a tool allowance and try to afford you a better tool set so you can do the job better. And that behooves them to do that, and you, because that means it's money you don't have to shell out because you're gonna do it anyway. So reviews and raises are scheduled, not as needed. This is a really big thing to me because I don't know how can you succeed if you don't know what's expected, right? So when we talk about going in there every 3 months, at that 3-month mark, I'm going to get feedback from that employer that says, hey, these are the things you're doing, these are the things you're not doing. A clear job description. I would like it written on paper what it is specifically, technically, that I have to know to make that job requirement. So if it's, knows how to adjust axles or, end play or, whatever the requirement is on that job, I want to make sure I know that ahead of time. That way, once I've achieved those goals, I can go in and say, I can do all this work. And because I now have an idea of what's expected in the future, I can do that work too, because I've already spun myself up on it and done the training that I can. So what you want to do is you want to be in a negotiating position. But essentially, if you're negotiating for that initial wage, you need to make sure that they have a clear job description so that you know what it is you're applying for. So flat rate, we've talked about that. That's a loss. That's a loss for most honest men. It just really is. You got hourly wages. So usage of diesel, what do they do? What do they all have in common? You're going to find diesels in mining, logging, oil drilling, utility companies, highway department, nuclear, right? They have to keep the spent rods cooled. If the grid went down, diesels would power all of America. Military vehicles, farming, hospitals, shopping centers, railroads, commercial buildings. None of those things are ran by gas, guys. So this is why I keep pushing it. I'm going to keep pushing it. Don't join the trades with hopes of dreams, and it just don't happen. 10% makes $72,000 a year. Unless you do it correctly and directly, you're not going to make money, meaning directly for the customer. So learn the skill set, go out on your own, start doing that. That's a good way to go about this. I hope this was a valuable video, and it wasn't too long, about 7 minutes. All right, thanks again. Have a good day.